What if I told you that the very thing you think gives you freedom is actually imprisoning you? That the stuff you've worked so hard to collect, to protect, to build your life around, is slowly becoming your master? Picture this: a man standing in a room filled with everything he's ever wanted. Nice clothes hanging in the closet, a comfortable bed, security, freedom, or so he thinks. But here's the question that should terrify us all. What if our greatest treasure is also our greatest threat? 2,000 years ago, a Jewish teacher named Jesus stood on a mountainside and said something that would shake the foundations of how we understand life itself. He looked at the crowd gathered before him, people just like us, people worried about their next meal, their clothing, their security, and he made a claim that seemed absolutely insane. He said there's a kingdom, God's kingdom, a heavenly realm that's not just waiting for us after we die, but available right here, right now in this moment. And the only thing standing between us and that kingdom, our stuff. Think about that. The barrier between you and experiencing heaven on earth isn't your past, isn't your failures, isn't even your doubts. It's your storage unit. It's your closet. It's your bank account. Jesus didn't dance around this truth. He went straight for the jugular of human security and said, "Your treasure is your trap." But before we go deeper into this truth that could change everything about how you live, if you're finding value in this message, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today, because what we're about to uncover isn't just information, it's transformation. Now let's get back to that mountainside. Jesus is teaching, and he starts with something we all understand: moths and rust and thieves. Don't store up your stuff on the land, he says, where moths and nibbler destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. At first, this sounds like practical advice. Protect your investments, get better locks, build stronger walls. But watch what Jesus does next. He flips the entire conversation. Because the problem isn't that our stuff can be stolen. The problem is that our stuff steals from us. Here's what Jesus understood about human nature that we desperately need to grasp. Whatever we treasure, we serve. We think we own our possessions, but slowly, imperceptibly, they begin to own us. That car you bought for freedom, now you're anxious about every parking lot. That house that was supposed to bring peace, now you can't sleep thinking about the mortgage. That wardrobe that was supposed to make you confident, now you're constantly comparing, constantly wanting more, constantly feeling inadequate. Jesus calls this storing up treasure on earth, and he says there's a different kind of treasure. Sky stuff, he calls it. Treasure in heaven. But what does that even mean? Is he talking about some mystical, ethereal concept that has nothing to do with our daily lives? No. He's talking about something far more real, far more solid than anything we can touch. Here's the revelation. The stuff of heaven, the treasure that lasts, is found in love. When you love God with everything in you, when you love your neighbor as yourself, when you offer forgiveness instead of holding grudges, when you show compassion instead of judgment, when you give generously instead of hoarding fearfully, you're collecting treasure that moths can't destroy, rust can't corrode, and thieves can't steal. Why? Because love doesn't decay. Relationships don't rust. The kingdom of God isn't threatened by economic collapse or natural disaster. But here's where it gets even more profound. Jesus says, where your stored up things are, there too will be your heart. Think about that. Your treasure doesn't just sit passively in your life. It actively shapes who you're becoming. Show me what someone treasures, and I'll show you what they're becoming. The person who treasures wealth becomes consumed by wealth. The person who treasures status becomes enslaved to opinion. But the person who treasures love, who stores up acts of kindness and moments of compassion and choices of generosity, that person becomes love itself. Then Jesus uses this vivid, almost haunting image. He says the lamp of the body is the eye. So, then if your eye is good, your whole body will be radiant. In Hebrew culture, a good eye meant generosity, an open hand, a heart that looks at others and sees opportunity to give, not to get. But a bad eye, That's stinginess. That's hoarding. That's the person who looks at everything through the lens of what's in it for me. And Jesus warns, if your eye is bad, your whole body will be dark. If the light that is in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? Can you feel the weight of that statement? It's not just that stinginess makes you less generous, it's that it darkens everything. When you're focused on protecting, accumulating, comparing, you lose the ability to see what's actually valuable. The light goes out. And when the light inside you becomes darkness, when your very perception is corrupted by greed, how terrifying is that state? You're stumbling in darkness, thinking you're walking in light. You're becoming poorer and poorer, thinking you're building wealth. This is why Jesus tells a parable that cuts to the core. No one is able to serve two masters. You can't serve God and wealth, not because God is jealous of your money, but because wealth demands total allegiance. Wealth says, think about me constantly, worry about me, protect me, pursue me above all else. Wealth becomes a tyrant, and before you know it, you're not living your life. Your stuff is living you. So, what's the solution? Should we all give away everything and live in poverty? Maybe. Jesus actually told one wealthy man to do exactly that. But the point isn't about having nothing. The point is about priorities. The point is about trust. And this brings us to the most beautiful, most challenging part of Jesus' teaching. He says, don't worry about your life, what you'll eat or what you will drink, not even about your body, what you'll put on. Now, wait a minute. We're supposed to be responsible. We have bills. We have families. We need food and clothes and shelter. Is Jesus being naive? No. He's being radical. He's inviting us into a completely different way of seeing reality. Look at the birds of the air, he says. They don't sow seed, and they don't harvest, and they don't gather into barns. And yet your Father in the skies feeds them. Aren't you much more valuable than they are? Stop and actually picture this. Birds don't have retirement accounts. They don't have savings plans or insurance policies. They don't lie awake at 3 in the morning wondering if they'll have enough. And yet they eat. They survive. They even thrive. Not because they're careless, but because creation is packed with abundance. God designed a world where needs are met, where provision flows naturally when we're aligned with His kingdom. Jesus continues, pay attention to the lilies of the field, how they grow. They don't labor and they don't weave cloth. But I tell you all, not even Solomon in all his glory clothed himself like one of these. Solomon, the wealthiest king in Israel's history, with all his resources and all his splendor, couldn't match the simple beauty of a wildflower that's here today and gone tomorrow. What's Jesus saying? That God's care for creation, God's provision for the smallest details, is more extravagant than we can imagine. Now, if the grass of the field, which is there today and tomorrow is tossed into the furnace, is clothed this way by God, won't He make sure to clothe you all who have so little trust? That phrase, so little trust, cuts deep. Jesus isn't condemning worry, He's diagnosing it. When we worry obsessively about provision, we reveal something about what we believe about God. We reveal that we don't really trust that He's a generous Father. We reveal that we think we're on our own. And look at what worry does to us. Who among you is able to add an hour to your life by worrying? Worry is completely useless. It doesn't change tomorrow. It only steals today. We trade the present moment, the kingdom reality available right now, for anxiety about a future we can't control. Jesus names the pattern. Don't be worried saying, what will we eat? Or what will we drink? Or what will we wear for clothing? For the nations constantly seek for all this stuff. The nations, the people who don't know God, they're driven by these worries. They chase security through accumulation. They build their lives around protection and provision. But you're different. You have a Father in the skies who knows what you need. Then comes the key, the solution to the entire dilemma. Rather, first seek for the kingdom of God and do right by God, and all these things will be added to you. First, seek the kingdom. Make that your priority. Focus your attention, your energy, your treasure on loving God and loving others, on cultivating that heavenly life here and now, on generosity instead of hoarding, on trust instead of anxiety. And watch what happens. The things you need, they'll come. Not necessarily the things you want, not necessarily abundance, but what you truly need. It will be there. So then, don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow can worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Live in today, meet today's challenges, experience today's kingdom. Because when you're constantly living in tomorrow, constantly anxious about what might happen, you miss the heaven that's available right here, right now. Here's the truth Jesus wants us to grasp. God is not stingy. God is not distant. God is not indifferent to our needs. But God knows something we forget, that our greatest need isn't more stuff. Our greatest need is experiencing the union of heaven and earth in our daily lives. Our greatest need is freedom from the tyranny of accumulation. Our greatest need is to store up treasure that actually satisfies. So what will you treasure today? Will you continue serving wealth, protecting your stuff, worrying about tomorrow, building bigger barns for your anxiety? Or will you trust that there's a Father in the skies who feeds the birds and clothes the flowers and knows exactly what you need? Will you seek first the kingdom, storing up acts of love, moments of generosity, choices of compassion? Will you let go of the trap of treasure and embrace the freedom of trust? Because where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And the question isn't just what you're storing up. The question is what you're becoming. Choose treasure that lasts. Choose love that transforms. Choose the kingdom that's available right here, right now, in this very moment. That's the radical invitation of Jesus. That's the path to true freedom. That's how heaven and earth unite in your life today.